The way I got here tonight is people in my life. I walked into my cousin Patsy's bedroom. Patsy was 6 years older than I was. Uh, but gosh, she was the coolest person I knew. She was a captain of her debate team, the president of the debate club, head cheerleader, dating the captain of the football team. She knew everything that was cool. So anytime I needed to know what I needed to know, I'd go see Patsy because she knew what was happening. Well, I walked into her bedroom one night on a Friday. We'd driven in from Tennessee, and they dropped me off there because I had to talk to Patsy. And I walked in, and Aunt Elvita said she's back there in the bedroom with her dadgum record player going, and I headed for the bedroom, and there she was. And I walked in, and she said, "I've got something here you need to hear." And I said, "Lay it on me." And she put on the Kingston Trio's first record. Now, up until that time, I had seen Gene Krupa, and I thought that looks like the most fun anybody could have. Chewing gum and beating on stuff. I was 10 years old. I thought, ooh, that's what I want to do. So I decided I was going to become a jazz drummer. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The Southern Appalachian Mountains were a hotbed of jazz drumming in the 1958. But Patsy she put the needle down on the Kingston Trio's first record, and it was like I saw Jesus, honestly. It's one of the, I can close my eyes and see it like the birth of a child or something. I mean, it just ingrained into me. When I heard those guitars and those boys singing, I said, that's what I need to be doing. Now, I'm preaching to the choir here, but you remember when we had our LPs? Oh, and our favorite ones. And you'd play it so many times that it would start to wear out. And you put the needle down on it, it just goes, just slide to the bottom. And then somebody told you, put a quarter on the arm of your record player. Remember that? So you put a quarter on there, and it dug down in those grooves, and you could get some more plays out of your favorite record. Well, this was Friday night about 9 o'clock when that needle went down the first time. By Sunday night, when it was time to go home, I had $6.83 stacked up on her record. And I went home, and I traded that snare drum for a guitar at Charlie's Pawn Shop on Main Street in Morristown, Tennessee. And when I walked in the house without my snare drum and with that guitar, my mother looked at me and kissed me on the mouth. My mother was the one who instilled in me my love for story. Now, storytelling, that was Stover and Sam, but my love of great story and how great stories are constructed. My mother was a voracious reader. I think she read every book in the Asheville Library 3 times. She read everything. And when I had my first book assignment, had to write a book report, I said, I don't think I can read all the way through a book. And she said, well, start small. And she went to her bookshelves and she went, without even looking, and handed me a little book about that thick, about that big. The Old Man and the Sea, Ernest Hemingway. Within a week, I read it 3 times that night. Within a week, I was at the library getting Movable Feast, everything he'd written. My mother. And my love for music came from owning that guitar, and she never once said, you need to put that guitar down and go to sleep. She never once said that. My father, the way I got my first good guitar was once I got that guitar, I was worthless. I walk up and down the hallways of my high school playing the guitar between classes. I'd go to Spanish and sit it in the corner, do my Spanish, get that guitar and play it to the next class. When I got home, into the bedroom, play the guitar, play the guitar, play the guitar. Well, my parents were very supportive of that because they knew that's all I'm going to be able to do. I'm not going to the University of anywhere. We had to bring our report cards home and stack them next to my father's plate. So my brothers and I would bring our report cards in, and I would be like, It was a Wednesday in the spring, in March. We brought our report cards home. My dad looked at my older brothers, who became an Air Force pilot and a magna cum laude, intelligent, wonderful. Anyway, he looked at my brothers and he said, "An A minus? Really? What happened?" And then he opened mine and he looked at it. And honestly, he looked at my mother and said, "We've got to get Michael a better guitar." And they went and bought me a new Martin D21 guitar. Today's money, I don't know, $3,500 for a 14-year-old boy, because they knew what I had to have. I had to have the tools of the trade. I've still got that guitar. I still play it on special shows, the National Storytelling Festival or somewhere. High school teachers. I had a high school teacher that knew, he said, when it came time to write poems, I got to write songs. He said, "Write me a song." He said, "If you'll write me a song every Friday and come to my classroom before I go home, if you'll write me a song and sing it and play it for me, then we'll take it apart and see what we can fix about it if there's anything wrong or what might make it better." He said, "Every 6 weeks that you do that, I'll raise you one whole grade." And I said, "You mean I could be making D's?" John Stokely. There are a lot of people in my life. My publisher in Nashville. I went down there thinking if I could get somebody famous to sing my songs, maybe more people would be interested in listening to me sing my songs. I was playing in knife and gun clubs and seafood restaurants in Murrells Inlet. People wanted to hear what was on the jukebox. They didn't want to hear me sing my songs. They wanted to hear Jimmy Buffett. I can understand that, you know, but I wanted people to hear me sing my songs. Well, my publisher in Nashville, I had an epiphany one day. I had written a song that got on an album that sold 1,400,000 copies. I got my first platinum record, and I thought, I'm on my way now. People be wanting to hear me sing my songs. That was my first platinum record and my last one. I happened to write it with one of the best songwriters in Nashville. That's what happened. It became country. My publisher told me, he said, "Michael, you're not cut out to write country music songs." And I said, "What?" He said, "You're not." He said, "I like your songs a lot, but you need to be playing your songs for people that'll listen to you sing your songs." I said, "I tried that for 25 years. I never found anybody." He said, "You just hadn't found the right person in the right places to play." And then I found the right person who found me the right places to play. The lady who booked me here on this show last year and this year, and has been my booking agent for 30 years and my wife for 28. So here's to the ones who show us how it's done. I had my Rayovac flashlights. I had Huckleberry Finn. And I was reading underneath the covers about the time my mama walked in. And I knew I was in for trouble. I knew I'd have to pay the price. Then she said, "Son, show me what you're reading." And when she left my room, she turned on my lights. Here's to the ones who show us how it's done, 'cause they don't see the world in black and white. Here's to the ones who aren't afraid to let us run and let our imaginations take flight. Here's to the ones who shine the light. I had this teacher back in high school, Junior English, 8 a.m. One morning I was late for class because my guitar sounded so good in the gym. And I knew I was in for trouble. And then I found out I was wrong. 'Cause while everybody else was writing poems, my assignment was to write a song. Here's to the ones who show us how it's done, 'cause they don't see the world in black and white. Here's to the ones who aren't afraid to let us run and let our imaginations take flight. Here's to the ones who shine the light. I make my living telling stories and singing songs like this one here. Oh, but I used to play in places where they'd tell me, that's not what we want to hear. And then I married me an angel, and because of her, my barroom days are through. And now I travel around the country, singing songs and telling tales to folks like you. So here's to the ones who show us how it's done, 'cause they don't see the world in black and white. Here's to the ones who aren't afraid to let us run and let our imaginations take flight. Here's to the ones who shine the light. I'm gonna sleep